everyone, this is Ann from the Licking Park District. I'm out here today at Morris Woods State Nature Preserve, which is one of the properties that we manage. It is located in Johnstown, Ohio. And if you haven't been here before, I urge you to get out and explore. So today I'm going to be heading out on the trail to look for some of our early spring wildflowers to share them with you. So I'll be doing a bit of a hike and then getting a little up close and personal with some of our wildflowers. So I hope you join me. I don't know how long it's going to be because I'm just starting. All right, let's go. So we're going to head down. Morris Woods has a bit of a footpath. So this is not one of our wide kind of manicured trails. So be aware of that if you decide to come out, and it can have some wetness on the trail as I am experiencing right now. But it goes through some lovely woods that we have here. You're gonna see some stands of evergreen trees if you do the full loop. Some areas of boardwalk and wetlands. And as I said, lots of wildflowers. All right, I'm getting to one of the areas where we have installed boardwalks. Some of these boardwalks here at Morris Woods were in partnership with Eagle Scouts and Boy Scouts. We always love when we have those projects. This is an area that tends to get a little wet, so the boardwalk helps all of our feet to stay dry. There's going to be a small inland pond to the right. It's a little hard to see through the trees here, but it's a good area to see sometimes wood ducks and turtles, frogs, and lots of various bird species. I'm hearing some northern cardinals singing, some eastern tufted titmouse, or mice in plural. Woodpecker off in the distance there. So again, this is a great spot to come out, just take your time, listen. Here's that pond, one of the access points. Kind of see what may be out and about. We're almost to the wildflower area. And one of the things I like to do is look down at the ground, especially in wet ground. And it's always fun to see tracks. So who knows what this is? I'm going to answer it for you. White-tailed deer track. And a little farther, you can see some raccoon tracks. Now, last week we did put up a nature journaling activity with wildlife tracking that kids can do at home. So be sure to check that out and check out some of the other kind of do-at-home activities and lessons that we're going to be posting week to week. And you can see we're following a deer as we go. So at the end of the pond, you're going to get to a little curve with a bit of a bridge. And if you haven't started looking already, now is the time to be looking for those wildflowers. It's also a great spot to try to spot some amphibians. And again, some tracks in the wet kind of mud and soil around. And I'm already starting to see some wildflowers. So I'm going to get down and kind of get close to this one here. Hopefully my shadow does not get in the way. All right. So here we have the spring beauty. As you can see, it's a low to the ground plant. I'm trying to get it in focus for us. The background color is usually white to pinkish, and then it has darker pink stripes to it. It grows from an underground tuber that's kind of like a small potato, very, very small. It is edible. North America or Native Americans would eat this, but it's so small that it's probably a lot of effort to get anything substantial. It opens on warm, sunny days and will actually close when it's cloudy and close at night. This early spring blossom is very important for our pollinators. So it's visited by a lot of bee species, such as our mason bees, cuckoo bees, our bumblebees, honeybees. So it's a wonderful, wonderful early spring pollen source. And you can see they kind of cluster. There's a number of blossoms. And some of these are a little bit closed up. I imagine when I pass by later, they will be open. Okay, so I've stopped and to look at species a little bit closer. Now, a couple things. I plan to kind of edit this video. I'm going to do just short little videos as I find flowers so that the walking portion, you can enjoy being out here, but you're not watching me walk for minutes on end. Now, this one caught my eye, and I will say as a naturalist, you're always learning new things. And this one, for me, I believe is purple cress, but I guess I just never realized. Okay, so the blossoms, they're not quite open right now, but you can see they're purple, if I can get them in focus. And I'll zoom there. Can you see them? Now the leaves, here, I'll zoom in on that. So I have never looked closer at, I guess, these leaves. So this is another, it's a 4-petaled flower. It's found in deciduous woodlands in shady areas near kind of springs or wet areas, which we are in their perfect habitat right now. It's another one in the mustard family and a pollinator attractor. But I want to see what caught my eye as I was walking. It wasn't the flower, but it was actually this flash of purple. Can you see that? And if you look, the underside of these leaves are gorgeous purple. Here's the upside. Now that purple looks like it fades to the upper leaves of this plant, but it just goes to show you can always learn new things when you're out in nature. So I'm going to keep going and find some other flowers. Okay, I see another one to look at a little more closely. All right, let me try to get it in focus for you. So this is Cutleaf toothwort. It's in the mustard family. And as you can see by those leaves, we've got some kind of jagged edges. Again, let me try to, which gives it its name of that cut leaf. It's got these terminal cluster of white flowers, and the leaves occur, let me see if I can get this, in kind of a whorl of 3. Can you see how 3 branch off from each other right there? So this one is very much an ephemeral spring wildflower. It might be here for about a month. So it's one to get out and see very soon if you want to see it in person. It really prefers organic soil and leaf litter, lots of leaf litter, and you can see that is true here. Here at Morris Woods, this woodland is actually a relatively undisturbed woodland. So that's why our wildflowers exist in such high densities, because it just has the perfect habitat for them. And you can hear a lot of birds here singing. I just had a red-headed woodpecker above me. So for those of you who have seen them or have not seen them, they're beautiful birds. So if you're out here, keep a look up as well to see if you can spot one. I'll leave a picture of one in the comments if anyone's curious. All right, as we continue down the path, you're going to see a number of plants are wildflowers that look like mini umbrellas at this point. We've got quite a lot. They will form colonies. This is the Mayapple. Now, Mayapples also have common names: the Indian apple, the wild mandrake. It's in the barberry family, and it has one white to rose colored flower that will eventually emerge. Right now we're just seeing its kind of umbrella-like leaves. Now this one is actually has been used medicinally by Native Americans. So those of you interested in kind of edible plants, this one, the leaves, the roots, and seeds are poisonous in large quantities, but it does have an edible fruit. So you may see that at times in different, wild food markets. It spreads by rhizomes, which are underground, kind of horizontal root systems. So I'm going to go again a little off trail to show you kind of how plentiful they can be. Hopefully you can see this kind of all along the woodland floor there. Now these will get larger and taller. I would imagine in the next couple weeks we'll see their full growth. So I will be back out to monitor that and share that with you. All right, I wanted to get a little bit closer look at a Mayapple. This one's nice and open. And the reason they're called Mayapple is because they tend to bloom in May, and their blossoms look like an apple blossom, or similar to an apple blossom. So that is part of that name. Now, there's a couple other things here I wanted to show you. So again, we have our Cutleaf toothwort, and we have some spring beauties in the area here. But we also have a new plant. So I'm going to zoom in on that. I actually have two new ones here. And we'll look a little closer. So this one here is the leaf of Bloodroot. Okay, so Bloodroot, some people think that this leaf kind of looks like the bat symbol from the Batman movies. I will leave that up to you, whether you think that is true or not. Now, it is named Bloodroot. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get my shadow in here too much. But let me shift a bit here. It has a beautiful white flower that unfortunately I'm not quite sure. I think it may have already bloomed here. I will get one from Infirmary Mound Park on a later video so you can see it, and I'll put the picture in the comments. So again, the plants we're looking at now are perennials, so that means they continually reoccur. They grow year to year, whereas an annual only goes through its life cycle in 1 year. Flowers, seeds, and dies. So Bloodroot is named, as you might guess, Bloodroot because it has red kind of juice in the stem and roots. And its Latin name is actually Sanguinaria canadensis, which sanguine is kind of Latin for blood red or bleeding. Now, that red juice was used by Native Americans as dye for their clothing and for baskets, and actually also as an insect repellent. But the plant itself is poisonous, so it is not edible in any way. So keep an eye out for that as you're walking. Okay, so one of the things when you're out in nature is to look for the little things. Use those observation skills. And as I was walking down the path, I caught a glimpse of red. Now again, let's see if you can see it. It's going to be hard on the phone. When you're out walking, we do ask that you stay on the trails. However, if you see something interesting, feel free to carefully walk over to check it out. Just remember to leave everything as you find it. and to be kind of gentle with our natural resources. So what do you think? Can you see it now? And I will say there's others kind of hidden under the leaf litter, little pockets of red. Now this is not a wildflower. This is a fungus, and this is called Scarlet Elf Cup. So it appears in winter in damp, shady places. And as a fungus, it's not like a plant that gets its energy from sunlight and through photosynthesis. It is a decomposer, so it gets its nutrients through organic matter and helps to break down those nutrients for our environment. So fungus are very, very beneficial to have. And this one, let's get close, has a very smooth inside to that cup. And here you can see from the size of my finger to the size of this what the size is like. And I don't know if it's visible at this stage, but they often have kind of a fuzzy look to the outside with some hairs on there, but I'm not seeing that clearly now. So again, keep your eye out for the little things. We have some, you can see, out and about in that leaf litter along this kind of fallen log. All right, I wanted to just get a little closer to the ground because I found another species to look at. This beauty here is rue anemone. And you can see it's got 6 or 7 of these white actual sepals, petaloid sepals here. And that differentiates it from its similar species or look called false rue anemone, which will usually have no more than, I believe, 5 of those. So this is rue anemone. You can see the leaves kind of down here. And I wanted to stop here too, because just to show you how intermingled some of these species can be. So here we have the anemone. And right here we have some spring beauties kind of throughout. And then we have May-apples right next door. And Cutleaf toothwort. You can see the leaf here. And all of these are extremely valuable as early spring pollen sources for our pollinators. And just as I got here, there were a few of our smaller kind of native bee species buzzing around. Oh, there's one. You'll also see pollinating flies. So believe it or not, there are a number of fly species that are pollinators. You'll see our kind of early spring bumblebees, honeybees, all sorts making use of these kind of valuable wildflowers. And as I scroll up, I don't know if you can see, but it is just a carpet of blossoms. A lot of those are spring beauties with other things mixed in. And you can also see those kind of blade-like greens. We do have ramps here. I do ask that you do not harvest them. Ramps are very slow growing, and if everyone takes even a few, eventually the resource will be gone. But just know that's what they are as you travel through. All right, I'm gonna just point out one last thing while I'm out. We'll be doing a few more, or probably many more, of these virtual hikes as we go, but I want to carefully head over and kind of get you close to our vernal pool that's out here. So vernal pools are kind of ephemeral, so only here for a short time. Ooh, and as I'm going, I'm seeing another wildflower. Maybe we'll stop and look at that in a minute. They are kind of a hot spot for amphibian activity. Early salamanders and our frog species will use them as breeding habitat. And this is one where we plan to have kind of our volunteers and citizen science come and help us monitor. So I'll put a plug in right now in terms of we are ramping up our citizen science. So different projects where volunteers can help us to collect data. And this is one of the places where you might come if you decide to volunteer with us. And you can hear some of our frogs calling right now. And I think in the future I'll come out and maybe do a vernal pool program here for you. But anyway, I hope that you are staying safe and staying well. I hope that you enjoyed this little walk through Morris Woods. There's a lot more to see, so I do recommend, if you can, get a little nature time. It's good for stress relievers and it's good for your health. And yeah, I'll talk to you next time. Take care.